Oh God, kiss the children for me, all of them, and tell them to pray for me. If I can accomplish this, I shall be the lion of the day.
It seems clear the intrepid missionary had a premonition of what was to come.
I thought Fiji had not yet stained its shores with a missionary's blood. Am I to be the first?
Before he prepared for bed, Thomas Baker offered prayers in the presence of the villagers. An aide noticed lights moving toward the village as Baker slept. A nearby chief had sent word that he wanted the missionary dead. The fateful morning was bright and clear, but the land was yet in darkness. In this area, the club and the old gods still ruled. When Baker spotted an unusual number of armed men converging on Nambu Tautau, he knew he was in trouble.
Lads, let's be quick or we should be killed.
But it was too late. A short distance from the village, Baker and his Fijian co-workers were fatally ambushed by 30 warriors, wielding clubs and long-handled battle axes. Seeing the fallen missionary, an old woman named Messima came out of her hut bearing a flask of coconut oil. The woman begged that the body not be put to its usual purpose, prophesying that such an evil deed would bring a curse upon the village. In the end, her warnings went unheeded. In November 2003, the villages of Navatusila, still restless in their hearts, set out to achieve the cleansing and freedom that had so long eluded them. As the villagers continued their business with God, hundreds of spectators and international journalists were arriving for the main event. It was time to welcome the descendants of the Reverend Thomas Baker.
I accept this gift of welcome from the people of Fiji and from this village with honor.
This would be a moment that we have all come to witness here in this 2003 with the presence of the Prime Minister of our nation, the Honorable Laiseni Ngarase.
This gathering will be long remembered in the annals of Fiji. Here, in this isolated part of our country, high in the interior, a great tragedy was played out all those long years ago. It has echoed down the ages, carrying guilt and remorse to successive generations. Now, we have come to lay it to rest.
An important part of this process is the osoro, a traditional act of public humility and confession. When it came time to put the apology into words, Chief Nawawa Balavu stepped forward to face the family of the man his people had slaughtered. One by one, the victim's progeny extended the forgiveness that Nova Tasila has sought for more than a century.
I accept your apology. I offer my forgiveness. You are forgiven.
I believe today's events can free the people of Fiji to achieve their destiny.
At the end of the day, there was a sense that something remarkable had happened.
I guess also when I came here I was expecting this to be some sort of closure, not only for those but for us. But to find that this is not the end, this is not a final chapter of a book, it's another chapter of a book.
The chains of guilt and bitterness had finally come off.
I talk freely, walk freely like a free man. And not only me, all the families.
Although the details of Navatusila's turnaround have yet to be recorded, no one doubts they will be consistent with God's character.
When we prepare in the right way, if we follow the right way, and then really we will meet Him.
In Nuku, God's presence brought instant healing to waters poisoned for more than 4 decades.
Just like that. It's beyond us. We can't believe it. It's too good to be true. You could see right on the river banks here, this used to die, used to, just wither. But now the grass is coming back, and even back here you could see, this was not even growing properly. And you could see back there, people are planting taro closer to the bank of the river, which, was not done before. And the fish start coming in.
Drawn by the Lord of the Seas, the fish are returning to Tovo Lailai as well.
Just after the church service in the morning, and they saw the fish coming towards the sand.
How many fish did you count? Total 3,957. They started loading it into the boat and just praise God and thank God, because this was an unusual event. It was a great witness. It was a miracle. It had never happened before. But they just started dancing up from wherever they were, and they were shouting and singing and dancing.
A powerful realignment is underway.
The healing of the land is starting to emerge.
We believe in a God that can do wonders like this.
There's prosperity out there because God is working. The people are turning to God, and God is healing the land.
In villages like Tovu Lailai, the word abundance has re-entered the local vocabulary.
It's not only the fish. There are crabs in the mangroves. Those were the biggest crab I've ever seen. They don't come that size now. Like in Rupua, there's also restoration of the land. The land itself bearing fruit. Trees that have been growing and not bearing fruits are just bearing. The community has totally been transformed within a year, less than a year.
And the secret of their success is getting out.
For the other villages, it was a miracle. They believed then that as a result of the cleansing that happened here, the spiritual cleansing, this is what God will do.
Over 60% of our people live on the land. And when they saw that, they realized that if they could only turn to God, what they thought was dry land, land has been used up, was still there for God to bless, but it was up to them to change their ways. Then God will heal their land.
They asked me at the Council of Chiefs, hey, what you doing? I said, I'm giving my land back to the road. Why? Because it's his in the first place.
As Fiji's environment continues to respond to God's touch, even seasoned observers are expressing amazement.
I attended a workshop only last week. People came from 11 out of the 14 provinces, and they could not understand how this was all happening in 23 fishing grounds from 11 provinces. They were sharing with each other, then they realized that the hand of God was upon all these fishing grounds.
The fish that I never used to see has begun to come out. The fish, that same kind of fish, they were smaller like this, now they are big like this. Just lately I came from my village. I used to grow bananas, but the bananas before used to be about like this. Like this, they are bigger than this. This is a change that I tell my wife, hey, the Lord is really blessing us. It's begun to take change. He's healing the land.
They have this particular shellfish, which if you go out and collect some, you won't be able to get any more for several months. Then you'd only get a few. But now they go daily to collect, and they're successful. Isn't it just so amazing?
According to eyewitness reports, these eco-miracles are typically preceded by a two-step pattern.